Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Stormies. This is the 2023 edition, which rewards all the hard work and effort you photographers put in to chasing in 2022. So these are the best images and portfolios from 2022. Right now, we're releasing our selections, and these are kind of the first pass, our favorite top 15, top 20, top 30 images in each of the categories. So the way we like to announce our selections is with a blog post and then a corresponding critique video where we're going to go through each of the images and kind of critique them, talk about what we love, talk about things you can work on. And all of these critiques, truly from the bottom of our hearts, are with the intention of trying to raise the game of storm photography everywhere, across the world. The three judges here, me, Dennis, and Linda, we are highly critical of our own work, and we've been doing this for quite a while now, and some of you have been doing it for a long time. Some of you have just started. And so all this feedback and all the ideas and thoughts we have are from years of experience and for trying to help everyone get better. I'm always trying to get better. Linda and Dennis, we're always trying to get better, trying to do better when we're chasing, trying to find better compositions, trying to learn how to maybe edit a little better. And it's things that we're hoping to pass on that will help elevate the game. So everything that we say here is meant to be helpful, encouraging, and to prepare you for this current season, 2023, which is already, kicking off in Australia from the photos I've seen, and spring is right around the corner. There's even been storms in Arizona already. So this is to prep you for that and to get you excited for this upcoming season of chasing and storm photography. So without further ado, here are our selections. All right. We are going to do the top 30 selections for Lightning Photo of the Year. Brand new category. Lots of submissions. I feel like it might make it harder to judge because it's just so much lightning. But I love lightning, and I think it was. I think we had some really good shots this year. So,
and I'm very picky because I shoot a lot of lightning myself. So
yes, I am incredibly, horribly picky, and I will probably mention the word cropping and stuff like that in this as well. But yeah. So we will. We'll go on to the first one here. This is one of my favorites. I can't tell if the white balance is a little off on the right. I think the white balance maybe overall is just a tad off, with it being really blue up here and yellow down here. But this is just, like, in terms of composition and overall editing, I don't see any like halos from bringing up shadows or over here, which could have easily been done. And and I think, you see where it lands. It looks like there's a little bit of maybe an orange spark there. Overall, a nicely balanced, well-composed image with possibly some, white balance issues and maybe a little grain and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the overall scene is just incredible.
Yep.
With the blowing dust and everything, and the lightning bolt hits almost perfectly. Just for my taste, it would be perfect if it hits the dirt road.
Yes,
but it's okay.
We can't have everything. We just can't have everything.
That's it. Yes.
No, agreed. And this is kind of a dream thing, to get something like this. And what I also appreciate is that the photographer, these roads out here, they kind of like go up and down, and I am super anal about being able to see down on scenes. And so this photographer stopped the car and set up at the perfect spot to be able to kind of look down and not have a road in the way blocking anything. So I really like, the choice of where they set up.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go to this next one. Linda, what do you think of this one?
I was trying to find it on my big screen here, but since we have so many submissions, it's kind of hard to dig it out. But of course, it's a really cool that you're, like what you said, you're kind of looking down on this shot from a higher vantage point, and that's really, really cool. And you've also got this blowing dust coming from the left side there, from the back. The framing is nice, of course, in the shot. I can't look at it bigger, so I can't really comment as to the editing right now because I'm looking at this like maybe 4 by 4 inches. So
Yeah. There's a little bit of halo issues here and very noisy here along the mountain where the shadows were brought up. So I think that's something that probably didn't necessarily need to be done. You probably, could get rid of this little pokey cactus here. I totally would do that. But I'm like, I like to do stuff. I don't like things coming in from the edges of the frame to distract me. But I definitely don't think the shadows needed to be brought up here because it just added noise. And maybe just a little bit of a downward to the right crop to center the bolt a little bit, or maybe just to the right overall, like from the middle. But otherwise, it's just, this is a great way to shoot lightning, is to be elevated and see where it lands, because a lot of times you just, this adds a 3-dimensional element to the photo. And I think in a lot of lightning photography, that's really, really good to have. Here's another one. This one is just, it's probably maybe edited a little rough, and it's a 5-second shutter speed. So there's a lot of motion in the clouds up here, which is a little bit kind of tough on the eyes. But I just love the tone of the scene and the lightning bolts and kind of I don't know, like a muted kind of color palette. I just kind of like that.
That's just like a painting or
Yep.
something. Yeah. It's a bit different, and that's why I like it. Yeah. Well, as you said, the editing is a bit overdone here. So yeah. But the toning is great. Yeah.
And I think I was looking at it a little closer earlier, and like there's a dust spot right here, a dust spot right there. That's just one of those things that, for me, I edited an image earlier and there was a lot of hot pixels. I don't know what's wrong with my camera, but I must have, content to wear it out about 30 hot pixels. And those are just a little attention to detail that can just, make your image better. I mean, if you, sold an image and you left hot pixels in or dust spots, and then someone bought it and you printed it, and then you're looking at it on the, 24 by 36 metal print, and you see little green dots of hot pixels or a dust spot, you're just going to be like, why did I not take the time to get that out? So
yeah, maybe this helps some people. If you imagine your image is being printed in big, can you see it there? So maybe you want to get rid of some things in the image, like hot pixels or dust spots or something else. So yeah, imagine you will look at this on a very big print. So,
that's a good way to put it. Imagine that you're in front of like 100 people that are all going to look at your image and try to, maybe pick it apart, and you have to blow up on a giant billboard. Like, what is in there that you probably shouldn't have? Almost like if you actually have to show it to someone, it kind of freaks you out. It makes you want to take the time to make it perfect.
Yeah, that's the point. Take your time, maybe rethink something, just get away from the computer for a couple of hours and come back and have a second look before you get it out. So, yeah.
Yep, agreed. All right, Linda, what do you think of this one?
I love this image. Of course, it's a bit like, that's not exactly maybe where you're expecting the bolt to come out, because it's a bit on the left side of the frame and it's almost cut off. But overall, it's a super, super cool scene. And I think what kind of saves it are these, which I usually find annoying, these road signs and stuff, more towards the right, this Philip 14 sign. But that's actually like one of my favorite things, is that Philip 14 sign, the way it's lit up by that lightning on the left side. On closer scrutiny, I would say there's probably some over sharpening or over claritying that might have been going on. But the image itself, I'm quite a fan of. And I know that you also had some issues, I think, Mike, with the composition being a little heavy on the left, but I'm rather drawn to this image.
Yeah, I don't mind the composition on this one. Maybe a smidge to the bottom left, but I'm always slightly cropping. But I don't. I think the road is in the middle, and the bolt kind of, obviously you can't pick where the bolt comes. So I don't mind that so much.
Wait, hold on, you can't?
I mean, I try my best.
Okay,
but,
all right.
I do think I like what you said. I like these signs all over. I do think that this one right here is distracting to me, and it faces away, so it serves no purpose to me. So I think I would have tried to get rid of this one, and maybe this one really close. Looking here, I can't tell if the person was shooting out a window and was driving, because there's just a little bit of motion here, but the rest of it looks fairly sharp. So I'm kind of confused on that. But
Yeah.
I think I think it's okay to get rid of a couple things that are distracting and keep, the essence of what's going on. So I think I would have gotten rid of this sign and maybe this post, but I like it here. I mean, look, and there's a car sitting over here watching it as well, and they've got even better view. So it's kind of cool. Here's another image of lightning that's, I mean, technically, compositionally, or maybe not technically, but compositionally is what I'm trying to say, is just about as perfect as you can get. I mean, at least for me, I think the road is right in the middle of the road. It winds down towards the bolt, and then you get to the elevated point where you can see the bolt land. And there is a big orange spark underneath it. And I don't always like to bring up, well, I do like to bring up the conditions of the day because I'm at a lot of these, it seems like sometimes, but this was a very tough day to shoot because it was a very dark storm, and almost like the rain on it was so light, or so to the right. It was so bright that to get any kind of lightning, it was a very, very tough, a tough moment to shoot. And anything you got was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Bring up the shadows like plus 100. And also be able to, bring the highlights down so I can see, where the bolt passes the storm. So it was tough conditions. So I just kind of take that into consideration. But I definitely think maybe a little too heavy again on the vignetting. But otherwise, I kind of like the tone and the color of the foreground. It seems a little muted, and it's nice color. It just feels a little blue up top. But again, I think the storm was a little bit like that.
I remember this day very well. I have tons of images on the day, and I'm struggling with my editing on this one because the bright horizon and the very, very, very dark storm. It was crazy, yeah. But in this case, I like the snaking road here.
Yeah,
very much. Yeah, I don't know why, but it catches my eye. The scene is great. But yeah, for my taste, yeah, maybe the vignetting also a bit too much, maybe. And because I love the snaking roads, maybe it could be a bit brighter because the horizon is so bright and there's enough light coming in.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, overall, great shot. Yeah.
Linda, I know you really like this one, or you like the lightning bolt at least.
Yeah, definitely like the lightning bolt. Also, it looks like it might be in our neck of the woods here in Arizona somewhere.
Actually, I think it was New Mexico.
Okay, same thing, right?
Yeah, same thing. It looks pretty close.
No, I'm just saying it has like a similar.
It does. We don't have any oil wells, but I don't think.
Yeah.
But otherwise, very, very similar kind of landscape.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great shot. Again, I'm trying to dig it out here on my screen so I can look at it a bit closer. I have looked at all of these closer, but then I forget. But I think probably on closer scrutiny there, a bit of the edit. I don't know. I think people. I don't know if it's the clarity slider or what, but it's kind of like bees to like honey. Like maybe people need to back off of that a little bit. And also, again, if you're adjusting contrast, which is a fine thing to do, keep in mind that also changes your saturation a lot of times. So maybe balance that out. The white balance might be a little bit blue in some places. I don't know if there were some local adjustments done here, but in terms of just a scene that you're looking at, it's pretty nice. I know that there's this bush kind of in the middle, and I have this sometimes. So I'll try to crop in from the bottom, and then I'll end up cutting off like half a bush or something.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't look nice when I crop off half the bush, but also it might be a bit too much foreground with the bush there. So then you have this internal dialogue with yourself, like, what am I going to do? And so, but overall, it's very nice. The horizon's not like in the center of the image or anything. The lightning bolt is it's a great storm.
It's a freaking great lightning bolt.
My eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Especially also since it's a bit brighter out. I think a lot of times either people end up shooting with like an ND filter, which has a tendency to be cutting off some of these finer branches of the lightning.
Yes.
Or you just get more of what almost looks like a more positive bolt because you just can't pick them up in the brightness. So that's I think the thing that I probably appreciate about this most is that you actually get to see quite a bit of branching for how much daylight there still is.
And this was, it says 14 millimeter. I'm not sure, how much it was cropped, but obviously
Yeah,
how to
it's
get those
cropped, yeah.
filaments because it's pretty close. And so that helps too. When the closeness of it, you get a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely awake after that.
I was awake because I missed them all and I was throwing stuff.
Okay.
I really like this one. I don't know, just on first glance, for whatever reason, I feel like the horizon's not straight. I just think when you've got buildings and all that stuff, you probably need to make sure that it looks straight. Even if, I think sometimes for me, even if I'm like, yeah, that's the way it was, sometimes I still want to straighten it enough that it doesn't distract me from other things. But just a really cool, crawler across the cityscape right there. I like that.
Mm. Yeah, me too. I appreciate the selection of what is it? Is it it's Manhattan, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Manhattan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, I also like that in the foreground is you can see a lot of water.
Yeah,
just the right amount.
Yes,
for my taste. So, and the skyline is rising above the sky, and then the lightning bolt stretches all over the sky. It's just great. Maybe, yeah, I'm thinking maybe a bit cropping from the top. So, but then you can have issues with the building on the left side.
Yeah.
So, but it's not. It's difficult on this one, but I'm happy. I like looking at it. So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go to this one. This one it's a little bit kind of like maybe the vignetting kind of thing or something that's really dark on the edges, but just a nice little lightning bolt. I think just overall that maybe the editing is just a little rough. You can see some I don't know, some haloing around the bolt. Some of that is getting rid of the chromatic aberrations and the fringing and stuff, but it's a nice lightning bolt and a nice color on the storm.
Yeah, I like the shot, and I think here the vignetting that's kind of happening on the left side there could actually, I think, compositionally help the image if that was brought up a little bit, because if you have a bit more brightness on the left side, then it doesn't feel so right side heavy.
Yeah.
And so and then maybe lean into the, sometimes storms have a lot of light behind them. Like clearly here there is some, and perhaps this person had the information to dial that back some. But I feel like sometimes it's nice to lean into that. And because you do have something that's fairly right side heavy, if you brought up, instead of bringing the highlights down, we might increase the highlights on this region where the sun is more to the left. It might actually bring some balance to the image, and I think overall improve it. The image itself, I think, is quite nice.
Great lightning bolt. Go to this one. I think, Linda, you were talking about this one earlier when we were going over these.
I was? Okay.
Maybe not.
We talked about all of them, I think.
Yeah, we did talk about a lot of them, but or all of them. This one it's a little tough for me. I feel like there's some distracting elements, and the crop could be maybe up to the right a little bit, because this might be unnecessary. I think I would probably bring the crop into maybe here where I could cut off this building and leave it more just kind of the bolt centered and this pier crane kind of thing centered. But I live in Arizona and don't get to chase around the ocean very much, if at all, ever. And so these always kind of blow my mind. So I think sometimes I see them and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but the lighting is spectacular.
Yeah, same way for me. The ocean is too far away, and at the ocean nearest for me, there are almost no storms. So the Mediterranean Sea is too far away for me. So yeah, okay, but I appreciate a good coastal lightning storm or so. But yeah, I have nothing to add. You said everything.
All right, Linda, I know you liked this one.
I do really like this one. I think compositionally and even what's going on in the sky, you have a bit what I suspect to be a longer exposure time, which is lending a little bit to this streaking in the clouds.
Yeah.
Um,
About
and
5 seconds.
because it is a storm, it's a lot of times, they're a bit faster moving, so you can get this streaking. So I kind of like that, and I can tell if this person didn't go completely crazy with trying to just get rid of the bright spots in the image. Which are kind of like, I don't know, like little stars in the sky. It's compositionally, it's very pleasing. There's even this very small lightning bolt right in the middle and in the back underneath that outflow. And I think they kept it within bounds editing wise. If you really zoom in on it, of course you can start to see a little bit of graininess maybe around the bottoms of the bolts, or there's some artifacts from editing, I think. Yep. But if you just look at it like this, it's really, really cool. I really like it.
Well, and I just think my favorite thing, all the stuff you said, but I just love seeing the impact points and how it lights up that green. I mean, that's pretty impressive, and it lights it up out here. So that's just like one of the first things you notice is, the light, the first thing you notice is the lighting's crazy, but then when you look, you see it lighting up the ground in 2 spots. And the only thing I would say is, obviously, I think the way that lightning bolt is kind of bent over, it feels like we cropped to the right of this image because it's a wide angle, like about 15 millimeters. And so that makes the bolt look maybe it was more straight up and down, but I just don't care. Like I love the rest of it and all that stuff. So this one, I think you guys that maybe the tone or the color was a little off because it feels a little maybe yellow or something. I think that this was one of my favorites when I, first looked at it, and I still really, really like it. I definitely think that, the fringing, the pink on all the bolts, that is easy to get rid of. And it's one of the, quickest things to do. And it helps a lot because this isn't what lightning looks like. It's gonna, it should just be mostly white, none of that pink fringing. But I think for me, it's a well-balanced composition. Obviously, person shot with 100 millimeter, it says. So they've got the main bolt and then all the filaments around it coming down. But I just love how it strikes the building. It looks like it's striking right around this front edge because either it strikes the front edge or the bolt comes out in front of the building because it's so lit up. But these 2 upward streamers coming off the building, I think, are what do it for me. I think I like the little details and those little things. These aren't always easy to get. And so in terms of a capture, that's what's pretty amazing about it. And I don't mind, I think the tone or color of the image, it's a little bit flatter. It's a little muted, but the color is actually pleasing to me. I just would urge the photographer to go back, re-edit it, and get rid of the pink kind of fringing around the bolts.
Yeah. But this shot, the uniqueness of this shot is very great. So but compositionally wise, I would crop a bit from the bottom. I think it's
maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, it's very dark in some areas, so it adds not too much to the shot, and the skyline, the huge buildings there are the main part from the city, so from the foreground. So but overall, you said everything. I have nothing to add here.
All right, Linda, how about you on this one?
Well, rainbows and lightning are really quite awesome. I would say that I do get a small amount of eye cancer from the amount of just hot pink and orange that's back there. So I would just go ahead and dial that back significantly. But in terms of the shot, I think with a little bit different editing, personally, I would think that this is quite an awesome image.
Yeah, seems fairly sharp all the way through. It's hard to know, like you said, I would maybe want to dial it back. I definitely see a pink glow on the ground. So it makes me feel like the whole image, obviously the whole scene was probably very, pink because of the way the sun is setting and the color there. It does feel like maybe it's a little bit on the cold side. Maybe you warm it up a little bit and then try to mute some of that. But it's tough.
Get some of these weird color blockingnesses in the sky if you zoom in. And then...
But that's what happens with some of that contrast. And then if you're using the temperature slider, you get a lot of that, and sometimes it's hard to get that right, and you have to be such a that these kind of colors, like contrasty, like blues and pinks together. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, you got to worry about like highlight roll off and stuff, and I know that that's tough, and a lot of digital cameras have a really hard time with that.
Yep.
But that you got to go in and try to kind of smooth that out by using trickery. I don't know, just things that you learn over time. But if you just want to do global sliders, I would go ahead and dial that way back.
Okay, here's just another. This is just kind of like a standard, like basic. I don't know if it's basic. A lot of people would see stuff. I say basic standard, and then
basic,
and then I'm coming out with my like like you said, our standards being really high about stuff. Going like, yeah, I'd probably be pretty happy with this. Maybe I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Like some people, I imagine some of these people, this is not their first time shooting lightning, but maybe for some people it is. And I remember how excited I was on the first couple of shots that I got that were big in my image, not like this little thing under a cloud way in the back. And so I look at literal thousands of lightning images, and so it takes me more these days to get excited. It's like a drug addict, right? Like after a while you need more to get the same high. So I feel when you say standard, I understand what you mean, but it is quite an exceptional image. You've got this kind of fork of lightning that's coming down, and that's super great to get. I would be excited to get that. I can see some dust spots and some, things like that, but overall it's not bad.
All right. Dennis, what do you think of this one?
Double rainbow here. Yeah, that's great song too. Yeah, I like the rainbows and lightning together too, so I appreciate it. In this case, I like the foreground here because it adds a lot of the scene for the scenery, the landscape, where the storm is going. Maybe I would get rid of the stone on the bottom right. Because my eyes are dropping down to this part of the image a lot. And maybe I don't know if there is the contrast between the bright part where the rainbow is and the dark cloud more to the right. Maybe the contrast between bright and dark is a bit heavy. Maybe just a bit. So but overall to capture such a scene, you need to be very patient.
Yes, I agree with everything you said. For some reason, I look at that bottom right, and that I would want to get rid of that. But it's again, it's a lot. The foreground to me is very well balanced, and the scene itself, like composition, is just very well done. So fantastic, and it's hard to capture like those kind of things. Lightning, it was at 1/60th of a second too, so that's pretty tough, and you're going to lose the chance to get like filaments and things like that.
Exactly.
But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So it's very, very well done. Here's another one. This one just a little bit, I think, maybe heavy on the or a little cold with the white balance. I know it's in I think it's just what happens when it looks like a lot of maybe contrast added or clarity, and that stuff just ups it. It feels a little bit colder than probably necessary, but it's just such a great scene and great lighting shot. Looking at the foreground feels a little curved, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if it was a Nikon and a wide angle or a 24 millimeter lens. I don't know if that's something that you got to correct in Lightroom, but it feels a little curved across the horizon. So I would have tried to fix that. But
everyone knows the Earth is flat, right, Mike?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That guy proved it. Oh wait, he didn't. He proved it. The flat earther proved it was round. That was great. I don't know if anyone saw that video, but it's fantastic.
I saw it.
All right, I'm gonna go on the next one here. I know like who shot this and where, so I'm not gonna comment on it because it kind of bugs me because I'm jealous. But so someone else can talk about it.
Well, Mike, it would have been great if you got a shot like this, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
just coming out of the top of the storm like that.
It's perfect.
Oh, look, you can see where it lands, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know exactly if one had already happened like this, but I know this was taken in Arizona. I think this is Tucson. So normally you'd be aimed more center with the rain. And so the fact that this photographer either thought it was going to happen or took a chance,
Yeah.
or it was a way cropped down, I don't know. But either way, you know, having this lightning bolt come out the top of a monsoon thunderstorm over Tucson is pretty, you know,
It's
that's
a great
local
shot.
knowledge.
It's
So
a great shot.
Yeah.
It has some editing issues, of course, and weird artifacts from pushing colors around maybe a bit too much, and
there's
maybe a
some
bit of white
banding
balance
stuff,
issues, and but overall as a shot, if I saw something similar like that on the back of my camera, I'd be like, and I'm done here today.
Yeah, exactly.
We're good here.
We're good. I'm gonna make the trip back to Phoenix and be done. So
yeah,
I agree. All right, here's another one. It's kind of like it's a little crazy. It's a little grainy. It's a little, but I mean, seeing this hit right here and the detail with the trees and this upward streamer coming out. I mean, it's just such like detail that you don't normally get and normally see. So this says it was shot at 202 millimeters. So very zoomed in, and it's just a lot of great detail in this mountain peak and seeing that. So I just like the kind of like power and the energy of this one, just overall. Little grainy, but you know what? I don't mind the grain on this one at all, because I feel like it's just kind of like just a grainy shot, like added, but and I don't mind the color palette being a little more like muted tones instead of like really, you know, vibrant, saturated colors.
Yeah, the details are crazy in this one. Never got a shot like this.
Also, just if you're out there and you're shooting lightning, if you set your camera to 200 millimeters, you're really telling yourself, I'm hoping I don't get anything today.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have something, that's you know, I came out all this way and I don't want to see lightning. Let me put this on 200 millimeters.
Yeah,
you have to really trust that you're going to get something right there, and you're zoomed in significantly. Your field of view is very narrow. So in terms of just like you know, the amount of luck that's involved in being able to then get something there is quite nice. And I agree, it has a lot of detail. The editing leaves me wanting a bit on this, but in terms of just the wow factor of the shot, it's got it going for it.
Yeah. Agreed. And you know what? And it's a 5-second exposure. So usually I think I got rid of my 7200 years ago, because anytime I tried to shoot lightning at 200, my lens was just blowing around, and I just said, forget it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Yeah. And so this is like perfectly sharp and steady. So either they were standing in a spot without wind, or they really locked it down, and that's, kudos to them. Another shot like the last one that I would love to have. This is just really like, there's just so much detail here. There's just like these houses. I mean, sure, if you zoomed in enough, you probably see a person on a balcony like watching.
I see somebody's naked butt.
Oh man, this is just, I mean, the bolt strikes here. This filament comes down in front of the mountain right there. It just it's just really, really nice. And I like that. This person is standing in rain probably, and there's rain all lit up. Anyway, just a little bit of jealousy overflow with me. So this is great.
But again, the editing and stuff could use a little work, and I don't know, you get these compression weird artifacts. I don't know if it's just the way that they made this into a JPEG from a RAW or what. But the bolt is really great. And the fact, I'm pretty sure, like, if this was shot at 14, this is probably cropped towards the right side of the image, because it doesn't pull as much on the left.
Yeah. It might, but I do believe, if I recall, that this was also submitted along with a 50 millimeter shot that was very close on this. So I don't even really know how far away they are. Like, who knows how much is cropped? It might not be cropped that much.
But regardless, I think that they definitely weren't expecting it to land there. And, I think they were wide awake after that.
Yeah. I really, really like this image a lot. If I had anything like negative, it would just be, you know, like some of the bolts like are really bright. But I also am trying to chill on that lately and not be so, you know, demanding about no blown out bolts, you know. But I just like I just love this little town here. as a because if anything, I would be like, oh, you got to crop it way to the upper right so just the bolts are centered. But the fact that this mountain, this little town here, it provides the perfect balance. And then seeing even like kind of the rain coming down around the 3D effect of like where the rain is falling on the ocean, and the ocean is just calm. These like little waves, it's just lovely.
Yeah, the small village makes the shot.
Yeah,
in my eyes.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite lightning shots that's submitted. Just in overall, and all the things that you guys just said. Of course, it has some weird banding of this kind of magenta color around in the ring and stuff. You could go in and maybe adjust that. I don't mind when lightning's a bit blown out because it's freaking bright. And I kind of tend to want to lean into it in the other direction instead of bringing the whites down and getting kind of this grayishness in clouds and stuff. Maybe just lean into it or whatever. Just make sure the highlights roll off nicely. But this shot is really, really awesome. I mean, even I don't know in the raw file how much information is there around the village. You could even brighten that up a little bit more, just so that the far left corner is just slightly brighter. But that's my only critique on that.
Arizona, yay!
In there.
I like this shot. I don't. I think there's maybe it's a little bit soft in some places, but you know, the person's really focused on the cactus in front of them. Even at f8, it's going to mean stuff in the back is a little bit soft, no matter what. But this is just you know, it's hard to kind of get a shot like this when you're picking out a cactus and praying that the bolt lands behind it. And so kudos to them for doing that and trying to go with a foreground element instead of me, which would be looking for somewhere to get high and probably not carrying as much.
Looking for places to get high. Okay, Mike.
Yeah. Well, it's easy now. It's everywhere, every corner. So it seems like in Arizona it's legal. But no, this is it's a great composition and a great shot. We go on to this next one as well. This is Arizona again. I might let you guys talk about it because I know I've been here a bunch and I'm probably partial to knowing like the difficulty and also apparently this place is shut down now. So this might be one of the last good shots anyone got here. So
I thought maybe I'd sneak out there anyway. I don't know.
It's even a story here in Germany right now.
Oh, really?
Yes. Many photographers are talking about this case.
Yeah. But this is Grand Falls in northern Arizona. It's on Navajo, Indian reservation, Indian nation, and bunch of travel, you know, influencer accounts were like, go here, it's free, and there's, you know, blah blah blah. And so suddenly everybody's going there, and more than normal, and the Navajo shut it down, which they had every right to do, and probably deservedly so. So it kind of sucks, but also kudos to them and bravo for doing it.
What I would like to say about this image is that it has a ton going for it. You know, the lightning itself gets reflected in the water and on the wetness of the rocks.
Yeah.
So when you go in to edit this, it would be my recommendation that you keep those details in mind and allow that to shine through. So the foreground here is very dark. You could bring up the shadows probably quite significantly and bring some of that detail back, because the foreground here tells as much of a story, in my opinion, as the lightning, and they balance each other nicely from across the image. And so I think if you went in, brightened up the foreground a little bit, and then just minded to take care of like extra bits of bright magentas or weird colors that you can sometimes get when you move stuff around like that, I think this could be a really incredible image. It is an incredible image. I would bring it a lot farther along in the edit.
Yep. And there's some of that banding, like color banding, like along the rain. It seems to happen a lot with, you know, editing with like contrast and stuff with rain and magentas and lightning and stuff where you get that.
If you look really close, actually, you can kind of see this banding, or these, I wouldn't call it banding. I would call it digital sensor noise. It's these long, linear, dark lines that you can get from mirrorless cameras. And you can see that here. So I imagine that this image was even probably darker than what it shows here, which to a point that Dennis brought up earlier, you could edit the image and you think, okay, this is what I can do for it. You step away for a few hours and come back to it and maybe look at it small like a thumbnail and think to yourself, is this too dark? Is this too bright? What can I do to bring this along? Or if you're just happy, that's fine. If this person is totally happy with the image that it is, I'm also okay with that. I'm just talking about it from how I would like it.
I just think it's a tough. I think there's a lot of jagged rocks and water and the light, and I think it makes it feel like a little bit harsh. And I've been there before, and I know there's still like some light back there in the distance, but this is just one of the darker areas of Arizona. If you have nothing in the sky, it's dark. So I know it's just tough conditions. I think you're probably right. There probably was enough like information in the shadows to maybe bring it up a little bit.
I did it here on my own computer. If I drag the shadow slider up to 100, you can see quite a bit. So that's a JPEG. There's probably something there. That's a great image. I really kudos to this image. I really like it.
It's a difficult place to get something like that, and I know if I had been there and had a storm and all this, I'd be jumping for joy. Here's another lightning photo over the ocean, which I never see, but I'm not going to complain about it forever. Maybe just a little more.
Didn't you go on vacation and started shooting lightning?
I did go.
Okay, so I don't want to hear any.
I did do that. I was very lucky that day. I do like this image. I think I would crop it a bit to the left, just because I think way out here, there's no reason to have that. I think I would probably pull it into a little bit. But I like this with these big bolts here, and then these other ones landing on this, whatever the coast is over here. And I just like the rain curtains adding these layers where the land kind of slowly disappears into the rain.
Don't be afraid to bring up if you bring up the darks a bit in that lower right corner, it might not feel so left heavy. But it's a really great shot. I really like the composition of it overall. All
right, Dennis, what do you think of this one?
Oh, lots of lightning going on here.
Lightning photo of the year.
I like that there's some 3D-ish kind of stuff going on the left side more than to the right, but the lightning bolts to the right are more impressive than the left ones. But overall, it's just showing what it is. It's just a freaking good lightning storm.
Yeah, I think Linda, when we were looking at this the first time, you guys, maybe both of you mentioned the color balance. It's a little bit slightly yellowish. It could be maybe a little bit, and it feels a little flat or whatever. But I just like that this is a more of one of those composition things where you actually frame it in a spot where you're hoping that you kind of got a little balance here of the islands and stuff. And
it's a bit tricky too, because the horizon is straight, but this island in the foreground is slightly tilted.
Yes,
and so is the bottom of this darker band of the clouds in the front. It's kind of at the same angle as this island, so it gives you almost a perception that this composition is slanted a little bit.
That's all I can think about, and that's why it's one of those ones where I think, would I bend it or would I straighten it, even though I know that's not right, just so that it doesn't make people think it's crooked. Like, it's one of those things where you have to kind of toy with that and see if it actually looks okay. Because you're right, that's what I think about. But a spectacular lightning shot. Here's another one of the ocean, and I think for me, what I really liked about this one is just it's a great lightning bolt in the ocean. It feels a little bit like the highlights were brought down, and so there's some of that yellowish result of that. Been there, done that. And I think I see like a raindrop on the lens, possibly. But I like all the rain lit up, and I like that you can kind of see that there's these coastal cliffs here that you don't see right away. And then when you look, you're like, oh, I can see land, and that part is kind of cool. And I think some of the rain falling out here is kind of nice. But it's a little bright, and I think maybe the highlights being brought down might have added some of that yellow color cast.
Yeah. And I think they're in the center, top center, there are some dust spots also. Unfortunately, that's so easy to get rid of these. So
one up here, a lot of dust spots.
I repeat myself. So just take your time and don't get the image out to the internet and online. Just let it sit and rest for just a couple of hours or so. And for me personally, it's helping me if I just let my pictures sit, maybe overnight too. So sometimes I just get rid of all the processing and do it over again. Sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes it's to lean into that a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to decide if you want to keep something in because it's part of the story. Like raindrops are obviously going to be part of the story, and then you can decide which raindrops you want to remove and which ones you want to leave that might add something to it. Like maybe the white ones that are a bit on the left side there might not add anything into it. And I think these kind of dust spots might actually be water drops on the lens that just get backlit by the light.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
But you can remove some of those because they might not really add to the story. But these finer drops that you can see more just to the right side of the filaments, those might add to the story. So you can kind of go in selectively and decide what you want to keep or not.
Agreed. All right, here's another one of the ocean. I think my first, thoughts is pretty purple and some blue. The bolt's really bright, but I just applaud the composition with the island and the two bolts on either side. Well done getting the bolts to land on either side of the island. You tell me how to do that. That'd be great. I think I don't know if that's a star, if that's like a hot pixel or something. Maybe there's one there too, but those are the little detailed things to get rid of. But just feels a little contrasty, heavy, and you use a lot of contrast. It tends to blow out lightning. It just gets it brighter and brighter. So you got to kind of dial it down a little bit. But yeah, I see another looks like another hot pixel out here. So that's just and then another one there. So it's a real easy thing to get rid of in Photoshop. But nice composition.
Yeah, absolutely. Composition is great. As you said, it's a bit heavy on the processing side, and the white balance. The colors are not so much for my taste. So, but the small island framed by the two big lightning bolts, that makes the scenery. I like it.
Linda, what do you think of this one?
I love it because that bolt goes right slam down the middle. I think the only thing that could have made this shot better for me personally, if that fencing wasn't there on the right, but I don't know really what you can do to make it disappear, because at some point you're running down a field like 300 yards and you're like, this fence is still my shot. And then you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have bolts slamming into the ground a couple hundred yards from you. So that's not a great idea. But I love the structure that's kind of under it there. That's I don't know if it's about to become outflow dominant there or what.
Looks a little like outflowy, but it's still like these are the dream lightning bolts that you get where it's just it's not in any rain. It's just out the top and there's a billion filaments. I mean,
and it's good contrast with the background. And
yes, it stands out so well.
We got this little bolt in the back there.
Yeah. No, a very, very, very good shot. I love it. Here's another one. I think this is, got some of the issues that Linda brought up about, the highlights. When you pull them back too much, you get a little bit of that grayish, yellowish kind of color cast, but which is a little bit unfortunate because I just really love the scene with the mountains and the bolt hitting the top of that peak and lighting up the cliffs. Like it's a beautiful shot. Maybe crop it up a little bit to the right to put that bolt a little more center, but a lovely shot over the water again.
I think it's too much rain. Maybe it makes it very difficult to get a very good processing here. And it's a couple of miles, I think, maybe 2 miles or so or more. I don't know. You don't know. Do you know the focal length on this one?
No, I got no data on this one. Yeah,
but there's a lot of water between the bolt and the lens. So but overall, in some case, I don't know why exactly, but I like the composition a lot.
Yeah,
and the lightning bolt, the not structure, the form of the lightning bolt adds to the scene in some case. So
this one, I think we're kind of split on this one. I think when we were talking about it earlier, maybe with some of the editing and some of the foreground stuff, but I think just overall, I was really impressed with this image because of the fact that it looks like it's raining. There's water puddles there that are reflecting the lightning. I think I see possibly raindrops, in there. So it's a difficult shot. I think Linda didn't like, or you can say what you didn't like, but I don't mind these picnic table structures, I think ideally in a perfect world, I would probably wish the left one wasn't there, because then it adds kind of a balance between the bolt and that one. But I like it because in this case, it adds a little bit of scale, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where it's more up to the viewer. What do you like? Do you like that human element? Because to me, I think it makes the bolt appear even bigger because I can see that stuff.
Well, the human element can be great, I think, from time to time. I think here
Yes.
is the tractor. And overall, I kind of want to see to the left and up more. Like if you're just setting up your shot and you're like, okay, I got these garbage picnic areas in the shot that I got to deal with, then maybe make those sit in the frame in some way that works compositionally. Because if I just, like, let's say the lightning bolt wasn't there, then it would be a lopsided composition. It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
And the fact that the lightning is back there, of course, the lightning is what is the main event, so to speak. So I don't really feel that all that other stuff is really adding anything. And if anything, I just want to see up to the left and higher slightly and less of the like lower foreground. But I definitely like seeing that it's raining, and I like being able to see this reflection. One thing you could do would be to shoot lower to the ground, maybe.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, that's the point. Lower to the ground and more up, more white angel. Maybe I don't know the focal length here, but maybe 14 millimeters or so, and lower to the ground, as you said, it would make it better.
Yeah. The only problem is if it's raining right around you can't do that unless you've got a great overhang or something. So some of these like
dang picnic tables out there. Why don't you go sit under that?
Well, I'm sure on a monsoon thunderstorm, the rain is falling just straight down.
I'm just kidding. Don't go sit under metal objects in the rain, please.
Please don't do that. All right, here's another one. Just beautiful lightning shot. I think, it says North Platte on the file name, so up in Nebraska. But a nice lightning shot, nice color. It seems a little maybe muted or cold or a little off on some of the white balance, but I like it. It looks like if you zoom in, the bolt almost splits at the bottom. It's got two little impact points, so it's kind of interesting. But what do you guys think?
I really like the composition of this. First and foremost, you've got this line swooping through, and then you've got the lightning coming down, even up a little bit. If anything, maybe you'd crop down from the top, but I'm sure that they didn't, because there's lightning up there, and they're like, I want to crop that out. And then I agree with you that maybe some of the color work could maybe use a tweak, but it really is quite a lovely frame, I think.
Yes, it's in some way it's peacefully for me.
Yeah.
There's a storm, but I don't think it's dangerous or so, or it's there's action and dynamic in the skies, and so it's just like a good summer evening with just thunder in the distance. And so I don't know why, but I like this one very, very much.
Well, and I think we also know sometimes it's difficult to get those big clear air cloud to ground bolts out ahead of a storm instead of just coming out of the rain, which this is really nice. And so it feels sometimes like a rare thing, and it adds a lot when you can really see that bolt clearly. So, all right, here's our last lightning photo of the year selection. This is just a freaking spectacular lightning strike. I wish we saw stuff like this in Arizona more often or whatever, but
I heard you see it in Tucson.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to talk anymore. Linda, you talk.
Okay.
Now I'm angry.
This is terrific. I like to tease, Mike. It's
I know.
all in good fun. It's great because I love seeing these shots where it's just so hard to get a bolt that shoots out of the top like that down, let alone kind of in an area of the frame where it's not cut off to the left or the right, and you really got all of the bolt in there. Right in the middle of the frame. And I think a lot of times when it does come out of the top and come down, then you're on the other side of the storm. So you don't actually see it. And so, kudos on that. It's a bit dark, around the edges. The color is a bit too saturated for my liking. I'm kind of curious to see what else is down there around this brighter area in the foreground, and even in the areas that now look almost black. sometimes bringing that up a little bit can add to the story or bring some balance to what's going on in the sky. So I would maybe give this another look in the edit. Of course, maybe it's a bit grainy sometimes. That can, I don't know. A little bit of extra editing, but I would be happy to get a shot like that.
I would be very, very happy. If I had anything, I feel like the bottom is just, it's not cut off, but it's so close to being cut off. I wish there was like 30 more pixels of black to kind of frame that city a little bit more, just like a little bit. But it's just so well balanced in terms of composition with that city in the frame and the storm out there. And if the lightning bolt had come out of the middle of that storm, it wouldn't be as impressive as it comes out over there and adds like balance to the whole image. But my God, it's just spectacular. Those kind of bolts are they blow my mind to see that. It's almost like, how does that happen and why? And it's just incredible. And to be able to capture that, just fantastic. So kudos to all the lightning photo selections of the year. And
I did look at all the photos, and there are some that we didn't talk about today that I thought were just stellar. Just want to throw that out there.
There's a lot of good lightning shots, and getting it down to 30 and then getting it down to like our top 10. I mean, it's
and just making
difficult.
sure we include all the variety of the different lightning bolts.
Yes.
And
yes, exactly. So kudos everybody.